All right, let's get right into it. When you think about British weather, what comes to mind? Probably gray skies, right? A bit of drizzle, maybe grabbing a jacket on your way out. But what if I told you that's not the whole story? Not even close. The UK's weather history is actually way more dramatic. We're talking destructive tornadoes, hurricane-force winds, and deep freezes straight from Siberia. It's time to look past the drizzle.
And look, I get it. The stereotype is there for a reason. We really are a nation that's pretty obsessed with talking and, moaning about the weather. I mean, with an average of 156 rainy days a year, can you blame us? But all that chatter about a bit of rain kind of overlooks the seriously severe stuff that's been in our climate history.
So, just to be clear, we're not talking about another soggy Tuesday here. We're diving into what's officially called extreme weather. We're talking events that are so unusual, so out of season, or so powerful that they become a genuine threat to people in their homes. And as you're about to see, the UK has had more than its fair share.
So let's start with something I bet you don't typically associate with the UK's green and pleasant land. Tornadoes.
Okay, quick question for you. If you had to guess which country in Europe gets hit by the most tornadoes for its size, who would you pick? Go on, have a think. I'm willing to bet the answer is going to surprise you.
Would you believe it? The United Kingdom is number 2. Second, in all of Europe for the number of tornadoes per land area, right behind the Netherlands. Yeah, seriously, we see between 30 and 50 tornadoes every single year. Now, okay, most of them are small, they fizzle out pretty quickly, but not all of them.
And if you want to see just how powerful they can get, we need to rewind to 2005. A massive tornado ripped right through a suburb of Birmingham. And let me tell you, this thing was anything but small.
We are talking about raw, terrifying power. The winds clocked in at a staggering 145 miles per hour. Just to give you some perspective, that is well into hurricane-force territory.
And get this, in the space of just 10 minutes, that tornado caused an estimated £40 million worth of damage. It was just tearing roofs off houses, completely devastating the area.
And the human and environmental cost was immense. 19 people were injured and 1,000 trees were just ripped out of the ground, completely changing the landscape in minutes. This wasn't just some weird weather event. For the people there, it was an absolute disaster. Of course, it's not just about tornadoes. The UK is definitely no stranger to other kinds of extreme weather, like, violent cyclonic storms and absolutely catastrophic floods.
And we're not digging into ancient history here. Back in 2013, Storm St. Jude absolutely hammered southern England, with 100-mile-per-hour winds knocking out power to 600,000 homes. And just the year before that, the wettest spring in 100 years led to massive floods in West Wales. They had to evacuate people, with 150 rescued by lifeboats. It just goes to show you, these extremes can hit from all angles. Wind, rain, you name it.
But it's not all about wind and water. Extreme cold can literally bring the entire country to a grinding halt. A lot of us still remember the big freeze of 2010. But in 2018, something even more dramatic rolled in. The infamous Beast from the East. So how on earth did this beast happen? Well, it was this fascinating, almost perfect storm of events. You see, normally there's this huge circle of wind called the polar vortex, spinning way up high over the Arctic. And its job is basically to keep all that super cold air locked in. But in 2018, it broke. It slowed down, it wobbled, and it actually changed direction. And that unlocked this gigantic wave of freezing air from Siberia, which then blew straight west, right over the UK, just in time to collide with an incoming storm called Emma. The result, total chaos.
So the beast arrives. The stage is set. But what did that actually feel like on the ground for the millions of people who had to live through it?
First of all, the cold. And I mean it was a dangerous, bone-chilling cold. Up in Scotland, the temperatures just plummeted, hitting as low as minus 14 degrees Celsius. It was one of the coldest spells anyone had seen in a generation.
But it wasn't just the cold. This was a brutal 1-2 punch. First, you had heavy snow blanketing the country, more than 20 centimeters in a lot of places. Then, that snow was whipped up by ferocious 70-mile-per-hour winds, creating these absolutely colossal snowdrifts, some of them over 7 meters high. Just try to picture that.
And that created this massive domino effect right across society. Thousands of schools just had to close. Transport completely ground to a halt. Flights cancelled, trains stuck. The NHS was forced to cancel non-urgent operations. And you probably remember this bit. Panic buying completely emptied supermarket shelves of basics like bread and milk. The entire nation was pretty much put on ice.
And the roads?
They were just incredibly dangerous. The Automobile Association reported over 8,000. That's 8,000 collisions in just 3 days. 3 days! That's thousands of people battling these absolutely treacherous conditions. It's a staggering number.
And tragically, this goes beyond just inconvenience and cost. The severe conditions led to the deaths of around 10 people. In one absolutely heartbreaking case, a 60-year-old man fell into a frozen lake trying to save his dog. So this was a weather event that had a very, very real human cost.
You know, the scale of this crisis was so big it demanded a full-on national response. The Met Office issued a red warning. That's the highest level they have. The armed forces were actually deployed to rescue drivers who were stranded and to help get NHS staff to hospitals. And charities, like the Red Cross, were stepping in, handing out blankets to people who were stuck for hours at airports.
So, when you look at it all, from tornadoes tearing through Birmingham to a Siberian freeze locking down the entire nation, one thing becomes crystal clear. The UK's weather is so much more than just a bit of drizzle. And it leaves us with this really big question. We've always been a nation that likes to moan about the weather, right? But are these just isolated freak events? Or are we looking at the UK's new, more extreme normal? What do you think?